So just like when we did the arithmetic, let's look at what we did. Let me see if I can find it. So what do? I had the first term, and I had that. I plugged it in, found the pattern. Once I found the pattern, I used that to get my answer. A lot of work. I'll go more slowly. A sub n equals a1 to the n minus 1. There's my a sub 1. I'm going to use this 5 and that 5 there to plug it in. 5 equals 80 r to the 5 minus 1. 5 divided by 80 is, can't register that right now, oops, is 1/16 equals r to the 4th. All right, I want to take it to the 1/4. So that means r equals the 4th root, what times what times what is 1, what times what times what times what is 16, 1/2. But remember, when we take something to an even power, it's plus or minus, okay? Just for understanding's sake, let's just deal with the plus right now. Okay, they want the 8th term, so they want a sub 8. So now what I have to do is I have to use my formula to create, or use my rule to get, use my formula to get my rule. So I take the 80, I take the ratio, and now I have my rule. Then I'm going to take that 8, plug it in, and get my term. So I'm going to go 0.5 to the 7th power, and then times 80, and I get 0.625, but you know I like things as fractions, so 5/8. So the 8th term is 5/8. But I did say that the ratio could be negative. Okay, well if the ratio was negative, then that means it could also be negative 5/8. So you have two options as answers. Now, just like last time, if you remember, there was a lot more work because what didn't they give us? They didn't give us the first term. So I can pretend that's the first term. If that's 2 back, that's got to be 2 back, which means the 8th term is really the 6th term. But we're going to find the 8th term. We're going to find the 8th term based on that original sequence, but we're pretending. A sub n equals a1 to the r to the n minus 1. I challenge you at this point to not just copy it. You're not going to learn it unless you try it. And because there's no ed puzzles, it's easy to just copy it through. Take the 96. 12, r to the 4 minus 1. 96 divided by 12 is 8, r cubed. The cube root of 8 is 2. No plus or minus, it's an odd root. Now I'm going to do the formula. A sub n equals a sub 1 times 12 to the n minus 1 to the 2 to the n minus 1. Now take my 6th term, which is really my 8th, but we're pretending. So it's 12 times 2 to the 6 minus 1, which is 384. So the 8th term is 384. I pretended it was the 6th because I went 2 back. All right, 8th term. What's missing? The first term. So I'll say that's the first term, which means I'm going 10 back, which means I go 10 back, which means I go 10 back. And now I write down my formula, because then it helps me line things up. There's my first term. I'm going to use this to help me. Divide by -4, square root, square root. But remember, whenever it's an even term, plus or minus. But just for now, I'm going to ignore the negative and figure it out from there. Now, I'm not really finding the 8th term, I'm finding the -2 term. So let me write the generic formula. -4, 3 to the n minus 1. -4 times 3 to the -2 minus 1. -27, so a sub 8 equals 4 27ths, because 3 to the -3rd is 27. Is 27, but then you bring it to the bottom, and that should be negative. Okay. But remember, if it's positive here, it could be negative there, but when you square it, or no, never mind. So that means the other answer is positive. Okay? You can have a positive answer or a negative answer. That's pretty much what's going to happen when you get plus or minus. So if the ratio is plus or minus, the eighth term is plus or minus. All right, last one. This is my first term, 12 back, which means 12 back from that is a to the negative 4. All right, a sub n equals a1 to the r to the n minus 1. I take this, 100. I take my first term. I don't know my ratio. If I knew my pattern, life would be easier. 100 divided by 1600 is 1/16 equals r to the 4th. What times what times what? What times what times what? Plus or minus, that's my ratio. A sub n equals 1600, 1/2 to the n minus 1. And then 1600, 1/2. It's not really the eighth, it's the negative 4. So negative 4 minus 5, so it's a big number. 1600 times 32. Some of you will get that in your calculator. So the eighth term is 51200 or negative. So I'll put plus or minus. There is no homework until we get through this section, which will be the next video.